Hey everyone, it's Eric and Ashley is hungover, editing in the background. Pay her no mind. Today I wanted to sit down and do a storytime video. I have a really good one. I've been saving this one. It's about a psycho ex-best friend that I used to have. I will be sharing all the details with you in just a second. Do not forget to like and subscribe, please, and let's get into the story time. The person that will be the center of my story time, I will be giving him the name Brad. So Brad and I were friends in high school. We left high school on decent terms, but throughout high school I had heard different stories about Brad, lying about working at Starbucks, for example, which was really random, but I was still okay with being friends with him from a distance. That's how we left high school. Then we became really close once I got to university. He was very supportive. He would always know what to say. He would help me out if I had somebody trying to mess with me. For example, one time I was catfished. I gave Brad the guy's phone number that had catfished me. Brad supposedly had done something or shut down the phone number that was fake, and I was really grateful that he was there for me in these times of need and sadness. We were so close that we decided to buy tickets to a music festival together called FYF Fest in Los Angeles because Frank Ocean was going to be headlining. There was going to be a ton of other amazing artists that year as well, so we were really excited and we could not stop talking about this music festival. Essentially, this was going to be the most amount of time that we had spent together. Normally we'd hang out for a few hours and then separate. This music festival was all day, from the morning to the night, on Saturday and Sunday. It was in LA, so we'd be driving there. It was going to be a lot of alone time with him, but we were excited about it because we thought that our friendship was strong enough to handle that and more. Wrong! I had let him borrow the book Flowers for Algernon, which is my favorite novel that I've ever read. On the drive there, we were talking about the book, its plot, the characters, where he was in the book. I was making sure to not give him any spoilers because I wanted him to enjoy the book as he was reading it. After the music festival, we needed some time apart. I think it was about 1 or 2 days that we didn't talk. Nothing had gone wrong. We just were giving each other space. And then he starts to be really weird in text and talking down to me. And essentially it seemed like he did not want to be friends anymore at all. He was being really rude. And then he tells me,
"Oh yeah, can you come and pick up Flowers for Algernon? Because it's taking up space in my room and I haven't even read it at all."
Liar!
No, Jen!
What am I supposed to do now, huh? What the fuck am I supposed to do now? You ruined everything!
And I was flabbergasted because he had convinced me, who is the closest person to him, that he had read half the book. Either he was lying about reading the book when we spoke about it, or he's lying now about not having read the book, but either way, he's lying. I responded with,
"Well, good thing I've heard you were a liar, otherwise I'd be really surprised right now."
That set him off. He was so mad. I started getting text messages from different phone numbers, and let's say that during the course of Brad and I being best friends, I had dated 5 guys, let's just say for simplicity's sake. Aaron, Chad, Daniel, Edward, and Frank, let's say. Let's say Frank was the one that had catfished me that I mentioned earlier. I would get one text from one phone number saying that they were Aaron, one text from a different phone number saying that they were Chad, and just different text messages saying that they were these different guys with photos. Essentially, this was Brad confessing to me in that moment that he was the one who had catfished me. He was actually one that pretended to be Frank, which was an even bigger reveal that shocked me to my core. It was horrible to find out that he was plotting against me the entire time. A few days pass, and I get a text message from a phone number saying,
"Hey, I saw your ad on Craigslist about coming over, dominating you, and busting open the door, so I'm coming now."
At the time, I was staying with my mother and sister because it was summer break for a few weeks. I was terrified that somebody was going to come and try to either rape me or my family members because we were all staying in the same place. I didn't know how serious he was because I actually have read articles about people that will post their enemies' addresses and say, "Hey, come and rape me, I'm into it. Even if I fight and act like I don't know what's happening, it's all an act, just come." I've seen it on the news, so I knew that it wasn't a novel concept, and this was something that could actually happen. So I was so fearful, and they kept pouring in over weeks. They would not stop. Every time my phone would ring, I would get a jolt of anxiety.
I'm calling the police!
Because I was so scared that one of the times it would actually be real. The text messages started to stop for a couple of weeks, and I thought that everything was over. So I was happy. Then, I remember it like it was yesterday. I was at work with 6-year-old children in first grade. It was the day before they started winter break. I get a follow request on Instagram. I never would check my phone at work, but I noticed that it had my exact name in the username. So I was really surprised. I opened it up, and it's this account that's basically saying that I'm a prostitute and that I'm really cheap to have sex with. This account had photos on it, but it was a private account. So I requested to follow it immediately. I became so scared that it had been months at this point since Brad and I had stopped becoming friends. I know without a shadow of a doubt that it was Brad, because Brad had told me when we were super close that he had retaliated against his friends that he had gotten into arguments with, and he had posted one of those friends' nude photos on Tumblr and then messaged the friend saying,
Hey, I saw this, I'm gonna help you out and get them taken down, don't worry.
So he was the villain and also tried to look like the hero in the situation, and I had told him, I hope you don't do that anymore, because when you're really close to somebody, you like when they open up to you about mistakes that they've made in the past. Usually they know that it's a mistake, so you don't have to try to correct them. He had confessed to me before that this is the type of thing that he does whenever he falls out with the friends. I contacted my good friend who is a police officer, and she had told me what steps I needed to take, what I needed to say when I did call in. I got off the phone with her. I was so happy that she helped me out, and then I called the police, and then the police told me that because it was online, I had to call the FBI, and then the FBI didn't even take my phone number or anything to contact me back when I called them. So it seemed like it was just gonna go nowhere. So I called my friend back, and she was like, oh no, just connect me with them. And she just spoke for me, and she was able to get a police officer out to my home. I had to decide when I got home from work whether I was going to tell my family that I lived with what was happening and that I was going to have to speak to police about it in a few minutes, or if I just wanted to try to keep it discreet. So I ended up just not telling my family members. The police officer that came out was an older man. He looked like he was in his 50s, and that made me nervous more than anything because I didn't know how much he would understand about Instagram, revenge porn, and all of that, because laws are barely being made to catch up with the internet. But thank goodness he was really knowledgeable, and he told me about how my face and genitals had to be in the photos and what steps needed to be taken if we were able to see the photos on the Instagram and they were of me and they met certain requirements. Then they could search by Brad's IP address and then go from there. It made me excited. I contacted friends that Brad knew, like Ashley, to follow the account. I contacted friends that Brad had no idea about to request to follow the account, so that if any one of us could get the photos, we could take screenshots and arrest Brad. It was so stressful to go through all of this, but I did not want to just let him get away with it. And I knew that if I did, he would continue to terrorize people in this way unless I did something about it. I kept a really close eye on the account, and then 1 or 2 days later, the account was gone from Instagram. I'm not sure if Brad deleted the account or if Instagram deleted the account because of the bio on the Instagram. So that was the end of that. Again, I thought that everything was over with, that we would finally put this to rest. And one day on Saturday, I remember, I get a call and I was at work, so I didn't answer it. And then I get a voicemail. On my break at work, I go and listen to the voicemail, and it was Brad crying, telling me that he had let his boyfriend get into his ear about not needing me in his life, and now he is single, and that essentially he was really depressed and trying to crawl back into my life. After everything that he's done to me, he's trying to manipulate my emotions to get back into my life. I texted him saying, who is this? And then he just responded with the letter B, which showed me that he was already covering his tracks as he was going along. That annoyed me that he wasn't even able to be transparent. And then I asked him why he had been texting me from different numbers, supposedly from Craigslist, and he denied it, which confirmed that he wasn't able to be honest at all. He was still lying. I told him, if you ever mess with me again, I will have you arrested immediately. And I also said, you're dead to me. And I blocked his number. I felt like I would never be done with him because he would either be able to contact me directly on different social media platforms, or he could try to terrorize me if I were to block him on all social media platforms. The last thing that connected me to Brad was my phone number. I just wanted to cut all ties with Brad So I ended up changing my phone number, which I had had for years. It was a hassle, but I am really glad that I did that.
How does that feel good? Oh, I'm free! I'm free at last! I'm hitting the road. I'm off to see the world.
I haven't heard from Brad since. I'm really happy. I do see him on dating apps, so I know that he still lives in Orange County. I'm really glad that he has stayed out of my life, and I hope that this has taught him that you cannot do this to anybody. It's illegal to post revenge porn. I know that he had studied the revenge porn laws when he did terrorize me because of how he was barely able to get away with it. I never want to speak to him again or communicate with him in any way, but I hope that for the rest of the world's sake, he has changed and had an epiphany. So that was a story time of my psycho ex-best friend who would harass me and terrorize me. I want to know what you think. Have you had a similar experience with any best friends from your past? Let me know in the comments below. Please do not forget to like and subscribe. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Let us know if you want to see more story times as well. Ashley and I have so many great stories that we're just waiting to share with you. Once again, I really do appreciate you watching, and we'll see you in our next video.